Okay, let's talk about game preservation and how Xbox is handling it versus what PlayStation's been doing. So I don't know if you've been following this story, but I talked about it a few days ago where the PlayStation 3, the PlayStation Vita, and the PSP stores are being closed. That was originally reported by a website, The Gamer, and we're going to talk about them in just a second. But something else happened today from Xbox talking about game preservation. Basically, they tweeted the backwards compatibility program is headed to the cloud, starting with a collection of classic Xbox and Xbox 360 games, and then they linked out to it, obviously, and they talk about the games that are going to be coming there and everything, and basically. Today, we're embarking on a new journey for the backwards compatibility program, taking it to the cloud. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members can now tap into a collection of favorites from the past in a whole new way, right on mobile devices, turning them into retro handheld systems. And some of the games are like Fable 2, Fallout New Vegas, Gears of War 2, Gears of War 3, Gears of War Judgment. By the way, the fact that these are retro does make me feel a little old. Elder Scrolls 3, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Viva Pinata, great game. Viva Pinata, touch controls enabled, and several others. So Xbox tweeted about this, and somebody responded saying, "Congrats to the Xbox team. You're doing an excellent job adding all these much valued extra features at no additional cost. It's hard to believe it's true." And Xbox pointed out, they responded saying, "As time goes on, it becomes more important than ever that we ensure gaming icons and classics are preserved for new and old players alike. Whether your first time playing Morrowind is from 2002 on your Xbox or 2021 on your phone, we're excited to share these experiences with you." And Xbox has been very clear about how they're going to be handling backwards compatibility and what they're going to be doing in the future, basically supporting all games across everything. And it's about preservation. And I was actually there when Phil Spencer made this commitment during one of the mini conferences that they did in San Francisco, and I was like, "Oh, he's sticking to that, huh?" Like at the time, I didn't really understand or get it. But if this is truly about game preservation, Xbox is really, really thinking about this and how they make sure that old games work on new consoles. I believe they support I'm pretty sure they support a massive library of 360 games, and they even have some Xbox originals on that list. And now I want to talk about Sony and what's been going on with Sony. As you know, those stores are closing on the Sony platform. And the website, let me just get it again, thegamer.com was really, really smart. They actually went out and talked to a bunch of developers about how this is going to impact them. And they had some powerful quotes. Some people pointed out piracy, for example. By removing the legitimate option, publishers aren't leaving players with much choice. It's especially frustrating given how much effort Microsoft is putting into preserving its library and seeing success with it. And I believe the Gamer article came out before this Xbox tweet. So I don't know if Xbox is leveraging the fact that, hey, like we really, really support preservation and we want people to know that. But it was really, really interesting to see that it sort of happened in that timeline. Sometimes I think in gaming, we all sort of have the same stuff on mind, and preservation is a big topic on the tip of everybody's tongue right now. Especially after this news, because this actually impacts a lot of developers. So Sir Eats a Lot, they made a game, and had they not made it for the Switch also, they would have wasted all their development time on the game. It was built for Vita, but they made the call to make it for Switch, and they expressed feeling like Sony just didn't care that they made it for Vita. And some of these other stories sort of lend to the fact that, like, if you were developing for Vita, a lot of devs were just like, yeah, Sony doesn't really care about us. So John Barry, it sounds like he's going to just lose his game entirely. It's just gone forever. It was developed specifically for Vita, and it's a silly name. It's Licky the Lucky Lizard Lives Again. And here's what he said about the situation. It's true that I'm not losing income, but I was pretty angry when I found out about the store closing, to be honest. I don't understand the logic. Surely, if PlayStation's backend systems were in good order, there could be a one-time migration slash update done to unify all content from all previous generations into one store. That is just the latest example of Sony's failings when it comes to online infrastructure. Granted, some of that is speculation on my part. So John Barry's speculating, but he's kind of calling Sony out. I honestly think rightfully so. I don't understand this store move, and it's particularly upsetting because a lot of these developers were like, I had no idea this was happening. The store was just sort of closed out of nowhere. Developers who are actively making games for this platform still were just totally caught off guard. Pablo Chica, a developer from Spain, talks about losing money. He says he had a game released in September 2020, and I think he estimated 20 to 40% of income lost because, he developed it for the Vita and thankfully other platforms, but that was the one he was betting on. And I also talked about, like, in the Game Pass video, like, there's countries where games are harder to come by, so maybe they're just getting access to the Vita and they're able to get these games from smaller developers for a lower amount of money. And now he's just like, yeah, that money's gone. So if one person from Spain makes a game and releases it, and maybe he makes a couple $1,000s a year, from that game, that might be enough for them because maybe it's a hobby. Like, we don't know the story behind Pablo Chica. I mean, I didn't do any research about Pablo and look it up, but that's just a shame. And to have him totally caught off guard it's just bad. Limo Games said in the article, it said, to make matters worse, the studio bought a new PS Vita developer kit through Sony just last month with no warning about the looming closure. Some bigger name developers who asked to remain anonymous were warned in advance. So Sony said, here's what they said about closing the stores, right? After thoughtful consideration, we decided to make these changes in an effort to focus our resources for PlayStation Store on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, which will enable us to enhance the customer experience even further. We thank you for your support on these platforms throughout the years. I mean, look, if you're going to let people buy a PlayStation Vita dev kit, obviously that's a communication that has to be had with the developer. They should have been told about the forthcoming store closure, or at least warned before they make that investment. Dev kits are not cheap. They're not a small investment. And it's very odd that Sony would just have this stance. It feels like there's a massive communication problem about whatever happened with this store closure. I don't feel like they've told us why it needs to happen. The backlash has been pretty apparent, and they've said nothing about changing their stance on closing the store or what the solution is going to be for these developers going forward. Yes, you're still going to be able to download the games that you've purchased, but you're not going to be able to purchase anything on the store. And that's problematic for a lot of people. And then seeing how Xbox has doubled down on backwards compatibility, I mean, it's you can't really fault them for that because it's a good thing. But you can say, Sony, like, why are you doing this? And that's really the question I would want to ask them. I don't think I would get a straight answer. They would probably just say, oh, the server cost was too much. Or like, if it's really that simple, I think they should just say it. Like, I don't know. It just feels so weird. It's not a good feeling, and I don't think it's a good look for Sony. And they should really say more about it or address the situation because it's a big elephant in the room in terms of gaming right now. I'm pretty tired today, but I did want to talk about this story because it was an update to the one I said yesterday. And, it's great to see that Xbox is helping with backwards compatibility. It is a shame. This whole PlayStation story is just a shame, especially when you start thinking about the smaller developers who, continue to develop for Vita. Sure, it was on the way out anyway, but to just shut it down and not tell people who are making games actively on that platform, like Pablo just made a game in September 2020. They didn't know that they were going to shut the store or announce that they were shutting the store by March. That's weird. It's weird. I don't like it. All right. Very late one tonight. It is baby woke me up in the middle of the night, so it's 2:50 a.m. I know my energy might have seemed a little bit lower, but I hope you like this video. If you do like these types of videos where I'm just hanging out, chilling, talking to you, consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. There's also the memberships if you're interested in doing the membership thing. I'm too tired to even plug subscribing. And thank you so much for watching. I'm going to sign off, everybody. Get some rest if you're up late like I am, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.